All right, welcome. Going to start out here with the Civil War Brigade series. We're looking actually at a first scenario with the Antietam. This is from Worthington Publishing. They've got a whole series. They've got Antietam, Shiloh, 7 Days Battle, I think Franklin, and of course the big one, Gettysburg. And I have Antietam, 7 Days, and Gettysburg. So I probably still need to grab Shiloh at some point and Franklin, maybe. So we're going to going to kind of do a quick overview of the rules. There's other YouTube videos that have done this, but I always like to do this too because it helps me to understand it. And the rules are rather short. We got 8 pages of rules. Now each game does have its own playbook here. The Antietam playbook I've got up here, and that's actually got 9, but it's because it's got all the scenarios for the game. So, and then there's a few special rules too. But the rules themselves should be relatively straightforward. Using the Vassal mod, you can go get and download from the Vassal website. Whoever made this did a good job. Even put little images of the setup instructions for the scenario in the actual scenario files, which you can find in the playbook also. But wanted to do a quick run through the rules here. So just starting at the beginning, I downloaded the latest version is 1.4, downloaded from the Worthington Publishing site. And just pick up on some key points here. Each hex may contain 1 combat unit per hex. Wow. And you can see the number on these is basically their strength. Hence we get all these markers in the real game to track strength. But with the Vassal mod, you can just increase, decrease. So this is, in my mind, an advantage of the Vassal mod. I don't have to use these counters here. So 1 combat unit per hex, infantry, cavalry, artillery, and supply wagons. Okay. Leaders are non-combat units, and we do see an example here. Here's AP Hill. And we have Porter, 5th Corps. So they don't count towards the stacking. There we've got some other, I believe these are division commanders for the Union. And we are looking at Beaver Dam Creek, June 26th. So 1 per hex, except for leaders. And then, of course, markers don't count. Zones of control. All known routed combat units have a ZOC, a zone of control. Routed units don't have a ZOC. Makes sense. Other than the hex they occupy. I don't think you can enter their hex, but we'll see. And it crosses all but prohibited terrain. Once you enter an enemy ZOC, you have to stop. And then to leave an enemy ZOC, it costs +1, and you can't re-enter that enemy's zone of control again. But you can enter another unit's zone of control. Yeah, so you can't move ZOC to ZOC either, no infiltration. Key rules, ZOC extends and alts, and this is nice. I do these little blue key rules here. All 6 hexes around a non-rounded combat unit except prohibited terrain. Stop movement when entering. Routed units have no ZOC. +1 to leave, can't re-enter. So it's not like I can be here and infiltrate. I'd have to leave and come into another one. Okay. Strength points. Colored box here. That's just how strong it is. When it gets to 0 SP, it is eliminated. When it goes to halfway, I think there is a flip side here. Yeah, flip side shattered. Notice that's 11. So after half of, wow, can I bring it back? Wow, that's an interesting part of the Vassal mod. Can't bring it back from the other side. I wonder if I increase. 1. Well, that's good to know. Whatever you do, don't. Nope. Yeah, can't get it back. Unless I do this, which I should have done right away. There we go. When it is shattered, it'll reduce the SP shown on the back of the unit, roughly half. Flip to its shattered side. Cannot enter enemy ZOC, but do not have to exit. and it may fire offensively and defensively, may not melee. So that's important. Once they've shattered these units, they're limited capability. And again, here's your summary here. Flipped, shattered, etc. That's pretty helpful. Morale, colored box surrounding its strength point. Now, so depending on the color of the box, pretty much all of these are black colored. I think there's a few golds somewhere. No, these are all black. Maybe down here. Okay, there we got a gold. Pickett and Longstreet. Cool. Everybody's pretty much black, and I think that's on the player aid. Morale is either green, 5, black, 7, gold, 9. And when you do a morale check, you got to roll under on a 10-sided die, so the higher the better. Each hex is 250-ish yards. Each turn is 1 hour. Okay, good to know. Then we got our game map. We got a player aid card. We don't have that up right now, but let's see. Tables. Okay, here we go. Movement, morale. This is pretty much set. Mounted cavalry and leaders can move 9. Everybody else moves 6. There's your morales we talked about. And then range. Artillery can fire 2 to 5 hexes. If it's point blank, it's doubled. Cavalry can't fire. They're probably just charging and meleeing. Infantry dismounted have to 1 hex. Got to be adjacent there. Let's see. Combat units. Shattered size. Okay. Unit designator. Okay. This is important for command. You'll see, except for artillery units, etc., like Berdin can only be really commanded. The command rules only apply if he's within range of Porter. These guys are darker, but we do see it here. Morale under Porter. This Corps Porter is the Corps command. Morale is the division. I think they were doing it at this point, or brigades. They mixed it up during the Civil War, but we do see you got to be in range of him to be in command. Okay. Division, there we go. Above the unit SP and some volumes starting setup hex. Okay, and then they tell you what they are. Infantry, 1 strength point is about 100 men. So this guy is 2,500 men. Wow. 6 movement, cavalry. Yeah, it's brigades. Everything's a brigade. They were using their terminology different. 100 men cavalry. They can be mounted or dismounted. No cavalry. Well, this guy's... I wonder if I can flip him. Nope. Oh, that's nice. Show command range. Nice. Nice vessel mod add there. 9 or 6. Artillery can be in 2 states. They can be limbered or unlimbered. Each strength point is 1 to 3 cannons. Offensive, defensive. When unlimbered, can't do anything. They can only move when limbered. Supply wagons. Their strength is 1, any number of wagons, 4 movement points. Eliminated if they take a casualty or have to retreat or rout. We'll see what they can do here shortly. Okay, army leaders, 3 stars, that would be Lee and Little Napoleon here, Chamberlain for Antietam. Corps leaders, 2 stars. And division leaders, 1 star. Well, I think that would also be a brigade. So there we go. We got 1 star. He's a corps leader. Why does he only have 1 star? Don't know. Maybe something fishy going on here. Let's see if we got somebody with more stars. There's Longstreet. Need some more stars on that guy. Wait, do I have Longstreet as a leader? No. Well, here's Lee, and he should have 3. So, not quite sure about the stars. Have the name, oh, maybe it's, well. Oh, well, we'll figure it out. You can figure it out by the marker underneath, ANV, Army of Northern Virginia. Longstreet is under Lee, Corps commander, but they didn't have Corps then, but yeah, that's a whole other thing. But bottom line, the leaders flip to their replacement side, And they have the original leaders have a command range of 4, and then replacement leaders have a command range of 3. And following effects when they're stacked with units, -1 to any morale check, that's helpful, and +1 to any fire, offensive, defensive, or melee. So that's just the ones stacked with them. Okay. Here's the sequence of play. Let's see what we got here. Command phase, basically figure out who's in command, who's not. Work phase, I think you can build some stuff. And then offensive artillery. So phasing player can fire all their artillery, kind of a pre-attack bombardment. Then units move with the ZOC rules. And then we have the combat phase. And interestingly enough, before you can fire at somebody, they get defensive fire first. So if you're approaching them and attacking, they're going to fire at you first. And then we have melee combat. And then we end with the rally phase. Pretty straightforward there. Command phase, 4 hexes. And the bottom line is a unit not in command range is marked out of command. And it's out of command the entire turn. Got to be within 4. Now here's the interesting thing. Artillery is in command if within 4 hexes of any friendly commander. Well, these guys have to be in range of their required commander here, the infantry. Units marked out of command may not move into enemy ZOC, just like Shattered, but may remain in if they start the turn, and it may fire offensively and defensively. I don't think they can initiate melee. We'll see that. Orc phase, this is somewhat tied to the scenario rules. Build breastworks if the scenario allows it. Placed in the build side, face on top of the unit. You may fire, but during the rally phase, the mark is flipped to this side showing. So they started it during the orc phase, and it's done at the end of the turn at the rally phase. Moves out of the hex. Breastwork marker is removed 1 per hex. -1 if they're under attack. -1 for morale. And there's a limit. Oh, the limit in the counter sheet is a limit there. Offensive artillery, only the active player. They have to be unlimbered, cannon side up, and they have to be within range. I think we saw up to 5 hexes. And we've got a line of sight concern too. There's no radio back forward observers in the Civil War. And any number of artillery units can fire their fire. They can only fire once, and each target is attacked only once. Okay, that's good to know. Got to have line of sight, and then they've got the line of sight rules, and we can look at that later. I think on the terrain table, blocks lost. There we go. That's kind of the only thing that blocks lost right now is woods, but then you've got to also worry about hills. Friendly units being fired over that are adjacent to the target unit. Okay, if there's, you don't want friendly fire. So if, for example, this guy was here and I had artillery and they wanted to fire at him and I'm firing over him, I can't do it. So don't want to inadvertently, although that happened in the Civil War. And this goes through the how to conduct it. Terrain modifiers, roll the combat die, results are applied immediately and fired on the artillery unit. Don't have any artillery unit. I thought I had an artillery unit. That's kind of a weakness of these. Oh, there it is. There we go. That's pretty powerful. 9. There it is. Got a fired marker. The vassal mod, of course, does it other ways. Reset. Okay, so that works. Line of sight. Then they talk about line of sight more in detail. Line of sight is by wood hexes and town hexes. Blocked by friendly units that are between the firing unit and the targeting unit and are adjacent. Okay. If the friendly unit is not adjacent, you're okay. It gets a little harder with the hills. I think block intervening hex of equal or higher elevation. So there we go. And they've got some good examples. Now, if I look at this map just quick, everything looks flat except for the woods. This is swamp down here. Chickahominy. There it is. Read Stephen Sears' book on this. Okay. Movement phase, supply wagons can only move 4. Okay, that's good to know. General units with a fired marker may not move. Unlimbered artillery may not move unless they limber, which means load up. I don't know what the rules are. Current player, full movement, paying terrain costs, each hex entered. As many or few units, following all rules of Zeo. I wonder if they can move through a hex. I'll have to look at stacking for that. Can't move across prohibited, must stop entering a Zoc, can move out of a unit's Zoc into another unit's Zoc, but may not enter the unit's Zoc that it began, so no infiltration. Unlimbered artillery may not move adjacent to enemy combat units, makes sense. Units may move through friendly units, there it is. At the end of the move, there can only be one unit. And then formation change. Artillery is going to be limbered, unlimbered. Cav's going to be mounted, dismounted. Infantry is going to be column or line. Quicker in column, but may not fire. When in line, may fire, but may not use the road pike movement. There we go. Limbered or okay. Limbered to move, unlimbered to fire for artillery. Cavalry mounted moves fast, can melee, but can't do, but acts like infantry when dismounted. 2 MP to change formation. May only change formation if it has enough movement points. Line to column. Deduct 2 from the unit's current MP and place a column marker unit on it. Infantry units adjacent to enemy units can't change into column. Can continue to move. Change from column to line, deduct 2. Then remove the column marker. Can continue to move if it has MP. So it's basically 2 MP. Unless you're adjacent to an enemy unit. Infantry units in column can't move adjacent to enemy units. Fired on while in column suffers a one column shift. That's a disadvantage of being in column. And they can't do defensive fire beforehand. And they immediately go to line. 2 MP for limber, unlimber. Limbered to unlimbered, got to have 2 MP left, which makes sense. Once you've unlimbered, you're not moving anymore, so save 2. And then, yeah, it's always going to be done at the beginning or the end of the turn, depending on if you're limbered or unlimbered. 2 MP for mount and dismount. There's a dismount marker. Ends movement when they dismount. 2 MP. And then 3 MP for the rest of the turn when they mount again. Okay. Yeah, if you want to use cavalry like infantry, I guess. Reinforcements enter with their full MP. Reinforcement area has enemy units or Zoc, free of enemy units. Okay, entry hexes. Here's our combat phase now. Combat's not mandatory. Hex may only be attacked once. Minimum, you can modify SP, I guess, for different effects, strength points, but it's only can't go below 1. All of the defensive units that can fire legally may fire at the moving player's units. Defensive artillery, infantry in line, and dismounted cavalry can combine their fires if line of sight is clear. That's interesting. That could be ugly. Offensive fire. Now, routed units and artillery may not fire during this part of it. So all the moving players, infantry, dismounted cav, can fire. And it's basically, look on the range chart. We kind of saw that before. Let's pull that back up. There it is. Let's look at it there. Oh, here it is. Infantry, dismounted cavalry has got to be adjacent. Mounted cavalry can't do it. Artillery, though, can go out to 5 hexes, but if it's point blank, their strength is doubled. Artillery fires at infantry, dismounted cavalry at 1/2 SP when more than 1 hex range. That's interesting. I'll have to, that seems like a contradiction. Let's see. So, yeah, and then we have terrain effects. Movement cost, terrain bonus. Here we go. -2 to 5. Yeah, if you're in woods, -2. If you're in a swamp, +2 to fire die roll. A target is located in a swamp X. Yeah, they're kind of stuck out in the unit. And units firing from a swamp X are 1/2. Swamp's not a good place to be. And we got a line of swamp here, too, for the Confederates to go through. And what are the results? Morale check, SP reduction, and retreat 2 hexes, and a morale check. That's the big one. And, an asterisk, a result of 10, causes a leader casualty check. And you get the replacement 3. Morale check. There's the numbers, 10-sided dice, and leaders and terrain could affect morale checks. I guess that's breastworks. Okay. Number rolled higher than the unit's modified morale number routes, but if you get a 10, it always routes. That's good to know. Here's your retreat, 2 hexes away. Let's retreat towards a friendly reinforcement entry hex, leader, or board edge. Place a panic marker on the hex that is vacated. The retreating unit may retreat through a hex with a friendly unit. If the retreating unit ends up stacked with another unit after 2 hexes, it continues retreating. Leader stacked with a unit may retreat route with them. Unit that is routes is marked with a routed marker, 3 hexes. If a routing unit moves through a hex with a friendly unit, immediately conduct a morale check for any unit being routed through. There we go. Place a panic marker in the hex that is vacated. Have to think about that. Unit marked with a routed. Retreat 3, 1/2 movement. Can't change into column. If in column, go right to line. Routed artillery may not unlimber. Routed cavalry must remain in formation. They route. Units may not move into enemy ZOC. May not fire during defensive or offensive. And when fired on, 1 column shift to the right. That's a good column shift for the attacker. And they talk about how to retreat, not the same hex. Artillery on its unlimited side that receive a retreat or route reduced by 1 SP and flip to its limbered and then retreats and routes. Apply to each friendly unit +1. Okay. Units of the active player may advance into hexes of the non-moving player that are vacated. Okay. Except for prohibited. Melee occurs during the offensive fire phase. That they desire. It's initiated by the active player selecting 1 attacking unit and 1 defending hex. Defender gets another defensive fire that is shifted 1 column to the right. Wow, gotta be careful here. The attacking unit passes, then conducts a combat with the defender. No column shift, applying any terrain and/or leader modifiers. And then we've got leader. Leader is alone or stacked in a hex. The leader is alone in a hex or stacked with a unit, and the unit is eliminated, or a 10 is a die roll result during combat. Check if they die. 1 to 6, leader is not eliminated. 7 to 10, it's a replacement, and the range is 3. And they can run away from enemy units coming into their hex. Okay, this is the rally phase. All breastworks are built. All fired markers are removed from artillery. Panic markers are removed. All of the current player units with route markers may attempt to rally. Morale check with modifiers. If the unit fails, it keeps the marker on until the next turn. Okay, tide of battle marker. Once per day. I guess this is in the scenario rules. We'll have to look at that. And then night game turns. Normal or half. Straggler recovery during a night turn. Yeah, they all come back. 1 to 5, no stragglers. 6 to 9, 1 SP. 10, 2 SP. Okay, and then we got scenario setup and victory conditions. Victory points are awarded for objective hexes per the scenario, also awarded for casualties. There's markers 1, 10, and 100. Each infantry, cav, and artillery unit starting SP versus current SP. Subtract that. Or you can keep it on the casualty marker. Player with the most VPs at the end wins. And it's modified by the scenario, I would imagine. And we do have those. I thought we did. This map doesn't have it. Somewhere here. Blue die, black die, Deadpool, show hide pieces. I don't know what that is. Well, this is interesting. I'll have to figure out how they want to how to calculate or track casualties. I'll figure that out later. In the Vassal mod, in the actual map of the game, there's a track right on top. Number of attack markers. Okay, these are to help with using Vassal. Here's the casualty markers. Thought it would be on the map. Oh, there they are. Wake up and smell the coffee. There's the turn track. And here's the casualties. And we got one each. And I guess each strength point is 1 point. So, and then you got to look at the scenario. So that's quick through the rules. They're relatively quick. I think we're up to, well, we're going to hit the 30-minute mark here. Let's see. Following series rules do not apply to this battle. No breastworks. Can't burn bridges, depots, rail lines. Search for fords. No fords need to be found. Snavely's ford had been searched out already. Night turns. No night turns in Antietam, so we're not using all of that. Makes things a little easier. 3 and 4, Union off-map movement. Interesting. We're going to play the first one. Following applies to all scenarios. Union is first. Let's see. Each corps division starts set up with or adjacent to any unit in their corps. Artillery may start limbered or unlimbered. Cavalry may start mounted or dismounted. And here's a note. They didn't have a corps, but we're using it for ease of reference. Here's, well, again, I'm not doing this scenario. The morning attack. May do this one next. A lot of units. I think I've got the right. Bloody Lane. Okay, all these things are read about. Burnside Bridge. Battle at Antietam. Am I in the right? Oh, I'm in 7 days. My bad. My bad. Beaver Creek Dam is a 7 days battle, so let me see if I can pull up that playbook. Here we go, the 7 days playbook. And again, build breastworks, no. Burn bridges, no. Search for fords, no. Structure, oh, Jackson was slow to the mark in the 7 days. So they have rules for that. That's Stonewall Jackson. Following applies. Confederate is the first player. You know, because 7 days, that was Lee's counteroffensive. Here's Beaver Dam Creek. 6 game turns. Upper Trestle Bridge is destroyed. Okay, I'll look for that on the map later. Oh, there it is. Well, there's a big X through it. Sykes Division may not move until a Confederate unit starts the Union player turn with an infantry brigade east of Beaver Dam Creek, south of 18X. So, let's see. There's Sykes right over here. Set him up close so he can hop on the road and quickly go down. I guess they can be in column mode. And then I think we're limited to row 18. Here it is right here. So the battle's pretty much, yeah, we're not going to be moving up here. So the battle's pretty much down on this part of the map. There we go. That's a better view. Yeah, so we're going to stay below this. These guys are going to try and come through here. These guys are reinforcements coming through here eventually. 5th Corps, all units set up east of Beaver Dam Creek. And actually, that's the cool thing in the Vassal mod. They've got these here. Different divisions within 4 hexes. Confederate, following units enter through hex 3421 on the turn after the first fire. Oh, that's these guys here. When the first fire combat comes, his reinforcements. If I remember the history here, AP Hill was supposed to wait for the reinforcements, and they were going to attack together. He got impatient and started the attack early. I think that's what happened. So there's a certain sense of entering the battle piecemeal. There we go. And let's see, do they have victory? Yeah, victory points awarded for each side per the series rules for losses. And the Confederates 2 VP for each Confederate infantry brigade east of Beaver Dam Creek, south of 18. Yeah, this is Beaver Dam Creek. So if they can get on the other side, that's the whole goal here. They get 2 VP. And the controlling player receives 5 VP for 2412. Oh, they got stars here. This looks like another one too, but we'll see. Yeah, here's the Union setup. So get across the creek, inflict casualties, get across the creek, and if possible, grab a victory point hex. And I think that's 2412. Yes, it is. That must be for another battle, I would guess. So there you go. I think we are set. I already did the setup. Not that I know what I'm doing. I don't know where that guy was. Let's see if I can get him. Oh, yeah, here we go. Let's see what we got here. Yep, Porter, artillery, 2 to 5, Porter. Then I can do cool things like, what's my command range? Oh, cool. All my units are in it. Good to know. And then what's this guy? Well, let's look. What's this guy's command range? So he could be a backup. They don't have chained command. It's not, this guy has to be in the command range of his corps. No, it's just these units have to be in command range of somebody, and we've got Sykes there too. So got to stay within 4 of your unit here. And we've got enough units here, so they're going to push across. They're going to have to wade through a swamp to get here. Are they going to come in line or column? That's a decision to make. Let's do a quick look at the terrain effects chart. So, and then movement, yeah, infantry have 6, okay. And if you're moving along a road, 1 negates terrain cost of X. I think if you're in line, you go faster. I'll have to look at that. And then woods are 2, prohibited. Can't cross creeks. Fords, bridge, destroyed bridge. Swamps are 4. Holy smoke. So let's say one of these guys can move 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll have to ask here, but it looks like they could get to here. But to get multiple fire, I'm going to have to put 2 guys here to do it. And then immediately these guys are freed up, and then these guys come up, and it'll turn into a melee. So, anyway, do I have a strategy? No. But AP Hill didn't. He was overly aggressive, I think, is what I read, and it's just like, charge! Go! We'll see how that plays. All right, I'm a little over 30 minutes. I think I'll stop this video here, but there's our quick rules review before we dig into the Battle of Beaver Dam Creek. Okay, get that right. And I may pull a little history out too at the next video before we start. A little quick historical background from Stephen Sears on the battle, and then we'll go ahead and put this game through its paces. And if it's good, which I'm hoping, good reviews, there's a whole series of games ahead of us that we can fight the Civil War here. So anyway, I will end it here. Thanks for listening, and we will see you at the next one where we start the Confederate assault on Beaver Dam Creek. So thanks a lot.